Joining me now on Skype is Gordon Chang, author of The Coming Collapse of China and an expert in Asian policy. Gordon, welcome back to the show. So good to see you.
Thank you, Tracy.
So it seems it's a different day, but the same old story from Beijing. China continues to say that the novel coronavirus was not leaked from a lab in Wuhan. What's your reaction to that?
Well, China has been opposing investigations from the very beginning, whether they're from the United States, Australia, or even from the in-country representatives from the World Health Organization. I think they have got a lot to hide. But it's not just a question of how this virus started. It's also a question what Chinese leaders did after the virus was out and about in their own country. Because what they did was they denied this was human-to-human transmissible, and they tried to lull people around the world into thinking that this was not a big deal. So I think they took steps that inevitably led to the spread of this disease outside China, creating a global pandemic. And that's what they're really concerned about, Tracy.
Gordon, what exactly do we know about this lab in question and the type of work that's being done there?
We know it's a P4 lab. Actually, there are two labs in Wuhan. One's a P2, the other's P4. The P4 is the highest level of biosafety. The P4 lab, they've been experimenting with coronaviruses. They've kept more than 1,500 strains there. They've also been trying to modify coronaviruses. And they've actually published a paper and talked about this in November of 2015. This is really risky stuff that they're doing there. This is not to say that the novel coronavirus was engineered, but it is to say that there's a lot of science that points to an accidental release of a naturally occurring strain of coronavirus.
Gordon, just last week, the Office of the Director of National Intelligence said in a statement that the U.S. intelligence community concurs with the wide scientific consensus that the virus wasn't man-made or genetically modified. How does that mesh with what we're hearing from the president and other administration officials?
Well, other administration officials and the president have been saying, look, you just can't rule out any options. And until Beijing allows an investigation, I think that's the correct posture. Because the one thing that we know about this, Tracy, is that Beijing has been doing its best to prevent the foreign community, foreign virologists, epidemiologists, and researchers from trying to study the outbreak. And until they can study the outbreak, I think everything's on the table.
All right, Gordon, thank you so much for coming on. So much we could talk about. We appreciate your analysis. Gordon Chang, author of The Coming Collapse of China. Thank you again.
Thank you, Tracy.